There's the Master Fans. Today we've got an unboxing here for our next project. And you'll have to forgive me, I couldn't find my knife right off the top of my head. And actually, it was hiding on me right by something you may recognize, hanging out here in the lab. So today we've got a replacement part that I secured off of eBay for one of the project machines that I swear I wouldn't give up on, but I also didn't want to spend a fortune trying to fix. And then I realized that it's one I really want in my collection. So as I have the ability, I will be trying to rescue it. And to be honest, it's the first time I've ever made kind of an elementary mistake in a repair. Now, if you've been keeping up with my videos, you probably know which machine I am talking about. If you don't, we'll see if you can guess based on what we've got. Now, it looks like we've actually got some goodies with this one. So, wrapped very nicely in some bubble wrap here, you can see we've got pretty large, dirty ribbon cable here. And with it, we've got a riser card, and you can probably tell this is for an IBM. Got two PCI slots and another slot. I don't think that is one I recognize. It's probably an IBM PCI. So you're probably familiar now with the make of the machine we'll be working with. Although you may not yet know exactly which machine I'm referring to. I'll try not to lose all of the packing peanuts here. Make a giant mess with them. But given the size of this, you can probably guess we are looking at a logic board. And if that's what you were thinking, you are correct. This is a replacement logic board for the IBM that I accidentally fried trying to repair when I was testing out the Dallas clock battery. And while that clock battery was repaired well, the unfortunate thing was I put it in the machine backwards. And here is our logic board. Now, just looking this over, it does appear to be an exact match to what we had. It is fully loaded with RAM. I have a couple concerns. We've got this clock crystal down here, which is corroded pretty good. Probably need to clean that up. We've got another Dallas clock battery, which I'm not thrilled about, but what do you do? That's what they came with. And we've got some buildup on the connectors. Really shouldn't make too much of a difference, honestly. But looking it over, our capacitors look good. Nothing looks bulged. I don't see any obvious points of damage or previous repairs. Everything looks to be exactly where it should be. I will say this logic board, though, does look to be a little bit different than the one that I have currently. And that's because this chip here is different on the what should be the visual control circuit. So we're going to take a look. We have to pull the old logic board out anyway, but we're going to take a look and just see. If not an exact duplicate, it looks to be very close. It is possible this is an older revision of the board, or it may be out of a different model IBM, but either way, it looks to be a working logic board. So let's go ahead and compare. All right, so here's our IBM, and you can tell by looking at this board that it's just cleaner, I think, than this replacement board we have for it. The logic board does appear to be the same. Some of the components are slightly different. Looking at these two clock crystals down here, you can kind of tell this one is definitely different. It could be that it's just a happenstance part revision, and it could be that we've got just honestly different parts. The good news is I do think it's virtually the same logic board. So I am going to go ahead and start swapping this out. Hopefully we can get power to it and get farther than the last attempt. Okay, we got the new logic board in there. We're just going to connect our speaker here. And we're just going to kind of prop it up for now. So I honestly can't remember exactly how the speaker went in here. So I'm going to have to look back at my notes. And really, honestly, at this point, I'm just looking to see, does this post, does this work towards a boot? Was there any damage done to any of the components when I was trying to power it up with the other logic board? All sorts of questions, not too many answers at this point. We'll also need a PS2 keyboard, which we always keep one nearby on hand. We even have one of the era from Keytronic here. So the hope is, at this point, presuming that there's nothing catastrophically wrong with this board, this should boot, and I'm guessing the clock battery in here is no good. But we'll have to kind of hope and pray on that. If it is a good battery, I will be thrilled. Although, again, not really going to hold my breath on that either. Just trying to get this keyboard connected. I don't have this screwed into place, so just in case this doesn't work, it'll make for easy removal. But I think this is everything. Let's go ahead. We need to fire it up. I think at this point we may just do power, just to see if it even powers. I hear the hard drive spin up, so that's good. I was a little worried we might have fried that previously. It's definitely trying. Just waiting for a beep. No beeps yet. I've got solid lights on the keyboard. So I'm guessing something is hung up. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and flick it back off and get a display cable and connect it up to a monitor. Okay, so we've got a test monitor with our 14-pin VGA, and it is connected to our board. Now, last time we got a good power up here. Let's flick it on and see if we get a display. Again, we've got solid lights on the keyboard. No display so far. Okay, so one thing I noticed is that the clock battery here, which was kind of warm, was not seated properly. This side actually had a pin sticking out. So I pulled it out, and of course I didn't use a chip puller, so I spiked my finger. But I did get all the pins re-straightened. I think, well, I should say I hope, that actually solves our issue. I, of course, won't know without powering it on and giving it a try. So let's go ahead, fire it up, and see what happens. Good news, the hard drive spun up. So far so good there. And nothing has ignited on the board. So that's also good. However, I would say that unfortunately we still have no display, which is a little disheartening. Okay, so the connector here for the display, that one was pretty nasty looking, kind of rusty. So I just kind of unplugged it and plugged it back in a few times, hoping that maybe there was just some gunk in there, because everything else seems to be working. It may be that we might need to replace that display port. I hope that's our issue anyway, because this will be the third of 3 motherboards that we've tried for this machine. This one's by far the most functional. I did also swap the RAM out, so I may swap that back to what was in there, because I knew these 2 sticks were good in the old machine. It's not to say they didn't get fried in the attempts on the previous motherboard, though. But the good news is I do have a good known display connector that we can use from the old board, and that should be relatively easy to swap out, all things considered.